So evolution.
Because we were creating that one world, one species type of attitude, and they said, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, that's why we've been coming back here, because we almost annihilated ourselves. We need to stop doing that, you know. And I even told Janelle, I said, well, I felt like a lot of times why black men like white women and white women like black men and Orientals like whites, and, you know, the whole scenario of all this mixed breeding was eventually going to cause us to have a, you know, a one breed nation. And when I said it, it was because of what I was feeling. But now I understand that I was feeling it because somebody out there was saying, this is what happened. And now they're doing what they can to come back to stir things up so we don't. And one day I even heard this thing about, don't worry about these neo-Nazis and people thinking about, you know, all this stuff about whites and blacks and you name it, you know. A lot of times this is done on purpose to make us think. And I think that's what I was picking up before when they were coming back to do genetic testing on us or whatever to change out their breed, and they were having problems with it. I feel like they're coming back to say, let's change out their way of thinking and maybe we won't have this happen to us. Maybe we can change it out before it even becomes that way. So, have we done that? Have we done that? They said, nope. I said, okay. So I just found that out. Nope. Yeah, everything. And, you know, if you keep, it's like stirring the pot up, Susan. Yeah, that's it. I'm a mutt too. I always tell everybody I'm a Heinz 57 variety. But if you keep stirring the pot up, eventually, guess what's going to happen? And I think I understand why people are so wanting to stay to their race. You know, so I can understand some of the hostility, but yet if we understood why the hostility, maybe it's subjective thought because someone's saying, we got to protect what we have so we can protect our future. If that's the case, then obviously we're not doing the right job because the last input was no. They still have created this mutation of this being who has done all it can to come back and not just one, but many. Are they androgynous? They have been able to create a being that is of one breed, one sex, no species, no nothing. They're, to me, I think they're androgynous, but they're not, like they're sterile, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. I think I understand.
And that is what's causing their...
So how do they reproduce themselves? Cloning?
Yes. And I think that's what's causing the problems because I think they're causing genetic flaws. And they're literally wiping themselves out. And so they have the opportunity to come here and help themselves with whatever they can.
Do they have any young?
Do you have any young?
Or maybe a good genetic stock from somewhere? Because from what I understand, when you go to clone something like Dolly the sheep, it was as old as the sheep it was cloned from. So, like, if you clone from a baby, it won't have very many problems. But if you clone somebody that's 60 years old, they're going to have 60-year-old problems when they're first born. And that's the
what I
problem
first felt, Janelle, was that they came here to take tissues and samples and stuff like that to see if they can do something to help their own species. And they were doing that on the young that was being cloned. So they have young. Mm-hmm. I can see young.
But what were they created from?
Well, they were getting mutations from it. It wasn't working like they wanted to.
No.
Okay.
I mean, what I'm asking is do they have their own sexual cells that they can put together and that are still viable?
I'm asking, hold on. See if the thought's not here with us now in this moment from when they've been here to even ask that question, then we wouldn't tap into that. They have no viable means to produce. They are looking for production. They are not able to sexually produce. They are not able to do anything but produce.
Clones.
I'm seeing produce by way of they have children. They had children. The children were not. Okay, I got it. I feel like they took. I'm not judging you. I feel like they took embryos, fetuses. I feel like they took anything they could to get our young, our children. I don't feel like they were born. I don't think they were born, but they were doing what they could to keep alive our fetuses. That's what they keep saying, our fetuses, so that they could take them and see, it's really a difficult thing coming off for me because they did not want us to know. Of course not. I feel like they did everything they could to make sure that they could do something to experiment with what they had left to do. Janelle, I'm feeling, okay, I'm getting a ton of emotions at me. All right, so apparently at one time they could genetically clone. They did it through the young, and the young grew up to be older, and they just kept that going. And I think that was a sexual thing. It was not a sexual thing, but like they harbored the sperm and the eggs, and whatever they needed to do was like this big factory thing that they could produce whatever they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
As time went by, things happened. Accidents happened. Problems happened. It got to be where they didn't feel like they needed to do this anymore. They had species around, and these species could last a long time, hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. So they didn't care. They had more than they needed to deal with. Then I feel like time went by, and they figured that now they were having issues with their genetics, and they needed to do something. Then that's when I feel like they decided they were going to, and a young then, very little. Nobody was producing any more young, okay? And mm-hmm. what they did have left over was very limited in numbers. That's when they decided that they had to do something, and they decided they were going to come back into time is what I'm hearing. They had come back in different points in time to genetically, well, I know that. They said, somebody said genetically modify, as well as enhance, as well as take from us whatever they could. And I keep hearing abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that some things they do are done.
So basically transgenetics. You take some DNA and then you put it into the humans.
Yeah, and but I feel like some of the things that happened from some of the thoughts that I'm getting out there, from the visits that they have had here, have been based on taking these embryo, or I even hear fetus. When I hear fetus, I hear like an aborted fetus.
Now, is that why some of these women were talking about being pregnant and not having sex, and then 3 months later their fetuses would be gone? They wouldn't have an abortion, it would just be gone.
That is always a possibility. No, I don't want always a possibility. That is, there have been cases of things like that happening. They have found there have been a case or two of that happening. There have been a number of other things. You know what, Janelle? I think what they found out is that they didn't have to take it from a woman. There was too many people aborting fetuses. And for some unknown reason, okay, guys, there's so many emotions on this.
Because it's
so
like, how would they get those fetuses anyway?
I'm feeling like there's somebody that has the ability to do something like, oh my God. This is so sci-fi. I'm just sitting here going, what?
This is kind of, really interesting.
I'm so not like I could, like it's that big of a deal, but can you imagine someone that's coming from the future that comes here, sets up an office, is a doctor, has all the wherewithals of being a doctor, and not in a civilized country, because we would slap them down so fast it'd make your head spin, you know what I mean?
Right.
But that all of a sudden a fetus is taken from a woman, and it's whisked away, and what? I just feel like a really, really bad situation that was created. And again, I'm feeling like a very long time ago. Because remember we talked, Janelle, before about if they already did this, why do they have to keep doing it?
That's right.
But I feel like they went into different parts of time. I don't really feel like it's a lot of current time. But some things have been still instilled in people's minds because of things that have been in the past. And there seems to be somebody, was it one guy? It was a few men who set up an office and said that they were doctors and they were doing abortions. And this was like, I want to say like back alley abortions.
Okay.
And these fetuses were used, kept alive by the technology that these Greys had us, because I'm thinking it's us from the future, that they use these to help bring about a better civilization for them. And I also feel like in the time frames that they have been here, the different time frames that they have been here on this planet during our current time frame, the emotions that would have come off of them at that time would have said that a lot of their experimentation was a success. And so I have a feeling that that makes sense. Because I told Janelle a long time ago, why do they need to keep coming back if they got what they needed to get?
Right.
And I'm feeling like the things that I'm feeling, because it's so sci-fi, and I'm asking them constantly while I'm talking to them, you sure this isn't something out of X-Files?
Mm-hmm.
No, you sure this isn't something out of the movies? Come on.
Right.
But everything is still coming off the same even emotions. I'm not feeling anything but a ton of different emotions coming at me of letting me know And gosh, hold on a sec. They're checking right now to see if any of the embryos or fetus, yeah, I know, have survived in that future time frame. And the emotions coming off of the ones that have been here have come back for more investigation.
So then some of the fetuses that they've taken to the future have come back. Just
no,
periodically?
some of the fetus that they took to the future stayed in the future.
But they grew up.
And some survived.
Okay.
Some are doing okay. Some are doing well, is what they said. And some have grown up, and they are living in a civilization at this point in time.
Oh.
Well, I feel like they're living in the future, and they just consider these as like superior beings.
Now I have a quick question, Charlene.
Yeah.
Now Dr. David Jacobs has been saying that, now I don't know if this is linked to anything, that these alleged abductees are being told that, well, they have these experiences where they're taking these so-called hybrids and they're taking them into apartments and setting up a house and show them where the furniture goes. You know, this is where the couch usually goes, this is where the TV goes. And I'm wondering, does that have anything to do with these people from, these humans, these fetuses that have grown up and done well in the future, and they're just being shown what we live like here through a dream or something?
Has any of the children come back during this moment in time to meet their parent or anything? They said no.
No.
They're investigating this. Hold on. Somebody just said, "Are you kidding me?
No.
They're not stupid. You act like they're stupid. They're not stupid. How would they not know? Are you serious? I'm pulling all this off. Hold on. Are you saying that just because they're like that, they have no concept of what in the world it is that... You know what, Janelle? It's like, I don't understand. Are they considered... you know what it makes me feel like? It makes me feel like you took a child out of South America that lived in a hut and brought him to the United States and stuck him in a home and said, this is what a TV is.
They would learn what it is.
Yeah, they would learn. I mean, it's not like it...
Especially if it's a child.
Yeah, it's like a child. If you take a child from South America that is a year old and never learned much of a language and took him into the United States and had him raised with a family, that child would speak
fluent English.
Yes. They would know everything about their environment.
Yep.
The only way that they would know less is if they were a 6 or 7-year-old, brought him in from another country and said this was a computer, and they had never seen a computer before.
Mm-hmm.
But they would still have a language.
Right.
They would still know of their beginnings. They would still know about their
upbringing.
Were,
these people were raised from, babies, so didn't they interact with them somehow? Didn't they pick up on...
Yeah, they have to. That's why somebody said to me, are you kidding me?
They would have died because babies need love and touch and all that.